So there I was standing on my porch, coffee in hand, watching an HOA officer pull out a taser and fire at my wife. Yemi actual wife. What they didn't know. She's ex-special forces. And her old team? Already watching, with laser sights lighting up the idiot's chest. Now before you ask, wait, what? How is that even legal? Let me explain. In this neighborhood, legality is more of a suggestion than a rule. And as for my wife noticing, oh, she noticed. She just let play out. Because Nora doesn't flinch at wannabe mall cops with tactical fantasies. Me? I flinched. I was wearing slippers, holding a mug that said Grill Sergeant, and in the blink of an eye, she hit the ground like a sack of bricks. One moment, we were arguing about whether we had enough charcoal for the weekend barbecue. The next, she sprawled on the driveway, and some guy in a knockoff sheriff vest is screaming into a walkie like he's taking Fallujah. Let's rewind. We moved into Brookhaven Ridge about 6 months ago. The flyer said peaceful, secure, family-oriented, which in HOA speak translates to under the rule of a delusional suburban dictator. Every house looked the same. The grass was micromanaged. And God help you if your trash bins touched the curb before 7:01 a.m. Nora thought it was hilarious. She joked that the HOA rules were longer than her old deployment handbook. But she went along with it for peace, quiet, decent schools, and neighbors who didn't blast dubstep at 2 a.m. The first strike came with her Jeep. Matte black, military style, gorgeous. She parked it a couple inches over the driveway, line barely grazing the grass. Next morning, a violation notice taped to the door like it was DEFCON 1. I laughed. Nora didn't. She scanned the notice, filed it in a binder labeled Brookhaven Buffoonery, and never said a word. I should have known then she was planning something. The HOA President Wendelin. Yes, that's her real name. No, she doesn't see the irony. She ran the neighborhood like a clearance bin dictator. Pastel sweaters like armor. A laminated clipboard as her scepter. She hated Nora on sight. Said she gave off hostile masculine energy. What she meant was, Nora didn't blink when Wendelin tried to explain how visual harmony builds community. Nora looked up once, said, "Cool story," then went back to tuning the Jeep suspension. That earned us weekly inspections and citations claiming combat vehicles disturb neighborhood tranquility. Then the HOA formed something called the Brookhaven Civil Enforcement Squad. Sound official, right? Don't be fooled, it was 5 dudes who looked like TSA rejects in matching black polos and camo pants. Fake badges, flashlights, pepper spray. One even practiced baton moves in the cul-de-sac. Nora watched them with the same casual boredom she once used on a cartel lieutenant. Said nothing, but she started jogging longer routes, chatting with neighbors, and running cables through the attic. I asked if she was planning something. She smiled. Just watching. They're not ready yet. And I've learned when Nora's watching, you let her watch. Meanwhile, the HOA squad got bolder. Cameras on stop signs. Kids threatened for sidewalk chalk. Someone's grandma got fined for a gnome giving the finger. Then one of them peeked in our window under the guise of checking air quality. Nora didn't yell. She calmly asked if he wanted to test how his pepper spray held up against someone who'd been tear-gassed before sunrise. He left fast. That brings us to the barbecue. July 4th. More group therapy than celebration. Neighbors were fed up. HOA meetings had become bad improv. Wendelin banged her gavel and shouted about civilized community values. A guy in back muttered, then stopped patrolling like the KGB. We hosted the cookout. Nora parked the Jeep dead center in front of the HOA sign like it was a trophy. Cue the enforcement squad. They lined up like a SWAT team. Clipboards, body cam, one guy narrating, engaging the target vehicle. Nora stood there, silent, arms crossed. They issued a warning. She shrugged. You're welcome to try. And try they did. The taser fired. Nora dropped. I froze. Then came the lasers. Little red dots blinked to life 1, 2, 5 glowing on the officers' vests, arms, necks. Her team was here. From hedges, alleyways, rooftops they appeared. Quiet, controlled, armed. Nora opened one eye. Smirked. I always wondered what it'd feel like to get stunned by an amateur. And none of us knew then, but but she'd been documenting everything for months. This was just the trigger. Gwendolyn didn't back down. She doubled down. Called an emergency HOA meeting not to apologize but to ban military-style vehicles and aggressive force displays, which obviously meant Nora's Jeep. She even renamed her squad. Now they were the Neighborhood Stabilization Task Force. Nora laughed, filed that notice under ludicrous titles. She had tabs now false citations, overreach, one labeled wind chime frequency. And still, she never yelled. Just jogged a little longer. Jogged like a recon mission. No one noticed she turned our storage closet into a tiny war room. Neighbors began sending her footage. Doorbell cams. Violation notices. One guy fined for tarp wrinkles. Another mom cited for her dog's LED collar. And Nora became the quiet resistance leader of Brookhaven Ridge. The final straw came with the sidewalk chalk. A few kindergartners drew rainbows and lopsided unicorns. Gwendolyn called it defacement and fined the parents. The next HOA meeting? Packed. Normally 5 attendees. This time, 24. Nora sat him back. Silent. Others spoke now. Yelled. Demanded answers. Afterward, we found a notice on our door. Final warning. Nora didn't flinch. I think it's time. That night, an envelope slid under our door. No name. Just, we know what she's doing. I showed it to Nora. She didn't look worried. Just intrigued. The next day, barbecue round 2. The squad came back. Same uniforms. Same drama. They approached the Jeep. Gave warnings. Pulled out a laminated card. Nora stepped between them and the Jeep. Calm. Crossed arms. You'll have to go through me. Sunglasses guy pulled his taser. It fired. She dropped. Then the lasers returned. Her team emerged. And then Agent Rowan stepped forward. DOJ badge already out. We've been monitoring this HOA for months. Today confirms enough violations to proceed. Shockwaves. People gasped. The officers? Frozen. Gwendolyn showed up late. Tried to act important. Didn't work. Ma'am, Rowan said, your HOA has issued 200+ unlawful citations, created an unauthorized enforcement unit, and collected nearly $100,000 in illegal fines. That's not community oversight. That's federal. She was taken into custody. By sundown, the backyard was quiet. Smelled like charcoal and closure. A week later, Brookhaven Ridge's HOA was dissolved. All citations nullified. The task force disbanded. Nora didn't gloat. She shredded her files. Went back to jogging. At the next emergency meeting, someone nominated her as HOA president. She accepted with a shrug. First rule? No board member would ever again issue citations, fines, or wear a vest. The community would run on trust or not at all. Before we left, she said one more thing. Oh, and if anyone finds a clipboard labeled Civil Enforcement Division, toss it in the nearest fire pit. Everyone laughed. Loud. Relieved. Real. Brookhaven was free. And Nora? She wasn't just my wife. She was every petty tyrant's reckoning calm, tactical, unshakable. And when they came to Taser, she didn't push back. She let them dig their own grave.